That was probably the weakest clap that I've ever done.
Do we want to do
It
another
is
one?
noticeable for me,
No,
so
it's fine.
I'm
It
good.
picked up, but it was like, ugh.
I didn't see it on Discord for what it's worth, but I believe that you did it.
No, I did do it, but oh god.
Low effort clapping.
Yeah,
effort clapping.
it's like I started strong, and then halfway through, my arms they turn into noodle arms, and they just kind of slapped against each other.
Halfway through, how big was your clap? Like, my hands moved 10 centimeters. You like?
I put my arms into it and everything, but they kind of just fumbled.
I'm so sad we don't have video while we record this. I really want to see the noodle arm clap now.
But you know what is also great? Coming back to another episode of this Halcyon Frequency Podcast. This is episode 11. I didn't update that in the doc. It still says 10 for me. This is episode 11, airing March 27th, 2022. This is the 11th episode of these, right? And we've been doing this for a little bit now. I've only just rattled into my brain that it's 2022 and not 2021 anymore. 2D Kiri is also here. Hello.
Yes.
How are you?
Hello. Hi.
It's been a long week for me. I don't even know what day it is. FG, how are you?
I'm great, but I'm also tired because it's been a long week. It's been a good, really good, but very long week.
Well, I don't think I introduced myself, so I'm blind, and we've got, I guess at the top here, an announcement to make, I think, because this other guy's here. Hi, Arch.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are all of you?
Well, it's been a week, but
Yeah, it's been a week, exactly.
So Arch is here, and now the question is, why is Arch here?
But Arch wonders that too sometimes.
We've had some questions recently about us recruiting, and we did that. So I guess just at the top here, we should just say welcome to Halcyon Frequency. Halcyon Frequency, Arch. Who are you, and tell us a little bit about you for people who may not know you.
Well, thank you for the welcome as well. My name is Arch. I play stuff under the Twitch handle ArchPlaysStuff. Nice and original. Been a streamer for a little over 2 years. I'm Australian living in New Zealand, and so both countries consider me an outsider. And pleasure to be here.
We finally made it to the point where we have somebody in almost every single part of the world.
We're
We
getting
just need to
closer,
recruit
at least,
somebody
yeah.
in the African continent, and we're pretty much spanning everywhere. Let's
covering-
move somebody to Japan.
Yeah, we're covering a crap ton of time zones, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's kind of amazing, but also kind of a problem for organizing things. But
It makes it tricky to schedule anything, yeah.
Hey, we got 4 of us here. That's half of the team. I think that's pretty well done, on our part.
it is pretty well done.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And only 15 minutes of one of us being late.
Oh, that's fine. Coffee's important.
No, it's
Right?
not. No.
It's definitely important.
Tea is better.
It's so important. I could probably talk an entire podcast worth about my love of coffee and coffee in general, because I became a coffee snob in my late 20s and now continue to be one and quite enjoy being one.
What was the cause of your coffee snobbery?
I got an espresso machine for my birthday, and I'd never really had coffee beforehand. But you see, I used to drink a lot of Coke, and so I wanted to get off that. And then a birthday present was an espresso machine. And I fell in love with the ritual of it. I fell in love with the flavor of it. There's not one aspect of coffee that I don't love.
Coffee started off as a necessity for me when I started working night shift. I would drink coffee occasionally before then, but for a while there, I worked ridiculously early mornings, and I started drinking coffee around that point. But when I started working night shift, it became a necessity, and it was almost as full of sugar as it was full of coffee back then. And after a while, I was like, this is really bad for my teeth. Like, my teeth were just hurting all the time. So I just kind of slowly, over about 2 years, weaned myself off of all of the sugar. And I've just, every year, I go a little further into the coffee hole to the point where now I have a pH measurement kit to check the pH of my water before I brew coffee.
Oh yes, I love the sound of that.
How far
Same
gone I
here,
go.
same
I've been looking into adding minerals to my water to get a better extraction percentage.
What about just drinking really good water instead?
Well, because I live in a city. If where I grew up, the water was like really, 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 really good. So I didn't need to, because we had well water, so I didn't need to add anything. But because the water's a little bit harder over here, I have to soften the water a bit. It's kind of a problem. You don't get as good an extraction. You get a bitterer flavor profile, and it's just like I was so spoiled on the water where I grew up because like we had our own well, and it was like basically spring water, right? But when you're in a city, like you get things like chlorine, you get stuff it has to go through a purification process, and like it just kind of it just doesn't extract the coffee as well. I don't know the science, and I'm not that good at that side of it, but like it just doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, same here. UK water is so incredibly hard. It's ridiculous. Like in certain places, when you just open the tap and you just fill a glass of water, it is not see-through. It's gonna be white, not like milk white, but it's gonna be like milky, watery water because
like a bit
it's
cloudy.
so hard.
That'll happen here if you fill a glass with hot water. Cold water, not so much, though.
Well, the hot water's just the bubbles in it, isn't it?
The harder the water, though, if it's hotter, it shows more.
Yeah, it shows a lot more.
Oh, my mind is just blown. It turns out I have the same sort of water here then.
Wouldn't surprise me, because like looking at the just like imagining the geology of New Zealand, it kind of makes sense that it would also be hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to Google. Is the water in New Zealand hard?
I'm hitting this puddle and it seems kind of soft. It's not hurting.
Yeah.
Is the water hard or is it still winter? We don't know.
Oh, apparently New Zealand water is comparatively soft. Actually,
There you go.
says the cat.
Canadian water generally is quite soft. I'm just spoiled with extremely good water normally.
Yeah, I will say that I grew up on rainwater. We had a rainwater tank, and yeah, once you move to somewhere that's got like, water mains and such, it's always going to be slightly more different because you're just not used to the chemical treatment.
For a good while, when I first moved into the city after living in the area that I grew up, I basically just drank tea or coffee because I didn't want to drink the water here. Because there was something about it until I got a purification kit. Like I just didn't drink the water. It's like the water here is fine. Like comparatively, but versus Vancouver in the UK or like any places that are very dense or places that are not like on the coast. We have really good water here, even in the cities, but I'm just spoiled.
I mean, the water here is also like it's fine and safe to drink, and there's no issues with it. It's just really hard. And where I grew up, the water was actually really nice. Like, we had really good water filtration, like just natural water filtration. So it was just like naturally filtered water, and that's not super hard. And like actually very soft and like just really tasty, but the water here is it's really kind of almost gross to just drink it straight up because it's just so full of blah.
So that explains the tea addiction.
Yes, somewhat. Also
does it necessarily?
caffeine. Also caffeine.
I mean, what kind of tea is your preference? I actually don't know this, FG.
Oh, so when you talk to a British person about tea, it's always black tea that they're talking about.
Yeah, but there's like 50 different kinds of black tea.
Yes, I drink just like all of the other pretentious content creators out there, Yorkshire Gold, because it works really well with the hard water.
It's kind of like Red Rose out here.
Yeah, it's a tea for hot water, but it has a really nice flavor profile. And it just then together with British milk, because British milk is actually really nice. Like if you get like the actual like whole milk, it's really nice. So that together is like the British taste of tea for me, which is not for everybody. It's like not everybody's literal cup of tea. Yeah, exactly. But I quite like it. Also, I never drink my tea sweet, nor my hot coffee. When it's like an iced coffee though, then it basically can't be sweet enough.
I can't stand anything sweet in coffee.
For me, it's like if it needs sugar, it's bad coffee. And I'll drink sweet coffee if that's my only option, but if it's sweet, it's not good coffee.
See, for me, sweet, I think the sweet comes from like going to like ice cream parlors, which usually are run by Italians in Germany, or at least they're like Italian ice cream parlors. And they often do something called either an ice cream coffee or an ice cream like chocolate milk type stuff. So you have like chocolate milk, but also ice cream in it, or a coffee and also ice cream in it. So it's cold and sweet. And I think that's where that comes from. But hot...
So you associate cold beverages with desserts?
Yes.
Okay,
Like,
I can see
like
that.
a cold coffee, like an iced coffee, is definitely a treat, not something I drink like regularly, as like just a way to deliver caffeine.
Yeah, that's like also the problem that I have with tea is tea just doesn't have enough caffeine unless it's like matcha, but the majority of black teas just if I wake up in the morning and I have a cup of like caffeinated Earl Grey, that's not enough to subside my caffeine headache.
Yeah, you know what you need? You need to hand make, or you make yourself like chai tea. Like, of everything that I've ever drunk that has contained caffeine, be it tea or coffee or even an energy drink, like when it was like really bad, like before an exam and you couldn't sleep the entire night away and you were so tired that you were falling asleep on the train, so you had to drink something that had caffeine in it, because otherwise you would have just fallen asleep. And I don't know, like chai tea, literally, like homemade proper chai tea, literally kept me awake for like 36 hours with the shakes. And then
That
it
sounds
took
like
it
university.
And then it took like another 24 hours for that to even go away. Like, because the way you do it is you put hot water on the stove, and then you put like not even that much, like 400 milliliters, 300 milliliters of hot water, but you dump in a whole bunch of black tea bags, boil it, then you throw in all the spices that you need, and then you take all of that out, and then that particular mixture of the spices and the caffeine did just something to my body. Like, whoa.
My
Ridiculous.
uncle makes his own homemade chai tea. He like dries all the spices and everything too. He'll like go to the market in the summer and just bulk buy tons of ingredients, and then he'll dehydrate them all and make his own tea mixes. So sometimes when I go over there, I'm like, can you give me like a couple small tea bags of tea mix?
No, this is not a tea bag though. Like, they're not a mix. Like, you just put it all together in like a big stove pot, and you boil it for like several minutes, and you get every single drop of like whatever is in all of those spices and the caffeine in it, and then you just you obviously sweeten it, and then you fill it up with milk. But like that mixture, wow, really tasty, but wowzers.
Yeah, I get him to put it into tea bags, because then I have like a portable amount, and then I put them into my tiny little boiling kettle, because I have two kettles. I've got my big kettle, which I use for coffee, and then I have a little boiling kettle, which you can put a tea bag in, put that on the stove. So I just put it in, I just dump the whole thing into that and put it on the stove.
I see.
Give it a good boil.
Well, this is now the Halcyon Frequency tea, or the Halcyon Frequent tea. Thanks for listening. This is now a podcast about tea.
It's all very fascinating. I don't drink coffee. I only drink tea when I'm ill.
Kiri,
I feel like I'm the wrong podcast right now.
yeah, Kiri's
See-
sitting like in the corner. She has like a little flag that just says water, and she's like waving it by like water.
Yeah.
This is the obligatory segment that we just have to start doing so that we'll finally get FG that tea sponsorship she's been wanting.
Dude, like please, somebody, please.
Come on, Lancaster Gold.
Oh, did you do that on
Put up
purpose?
the big bucks, guys.
Well, to be fair, they don't actually sponsor anybody. But hey, I could be convinced to change my tea affiliateship if somebody, please just reach out. There are dozens of us, I swear, dozens.
That's like me really, really, really wanting a coffee sponsorship, but
I mean, there are some, but
also, I want to clarify. I have nothing against drinking water. It's just less interesting to talk about than tea and coffee.
you say that,
I
but then
suppose so.
we also spent like 5 minutes just talking about water, though.
Yes, but like you're not gonna like. I mean, maybe you could put it through a filter, but at that point, then it's water. Like you're good to go. You put the water in the thing. You put it in the fridge. You either let it settle if it needs that, or you just put it through a filter and then you're good, right? Right?
Yeah, but okay, question. Do you drink water cold, room temperature, or slightly chilled?
I drink water.
It's
I
got
don't
to
like
be
it when
room
it's
temp.
room temperature.
No, it's got to be room temp. It's got to be
I don't care,
room
whatever
temp.
happens.
It won't be
I'm
room
very
temperature by the
simple,
time I'm done with
apparently.
it.
Hey, so video games.
Video games? Well, then we need to go to a break real quick. We do need to go to a break before we can talk about video games. So, when we come back, we've all got some games to talk about. So, we'll be right back after this short break.
Hi there, podcast listeners. Jess here. If you missed me on today's episode, never fear. Stop by on Twitch instead. You can find me at twitch.tv/woe_Jess, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Please enjoy the rest of this episode, and thank you for listening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I hope that you enjoyed that little break. Once again, this is the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. I'm Blind. I'm hosting. I'm joined by 2D Kiri, ArchPlaysStuff, and FGsquared. And FG wants to talk about, I'm just going to guess, Rune Factory 5?
Yes, I'm going to talk video games and Rune Factory 5. So Rune Factory 5 came out in Japan last year, in America on the 22nd of March this year, and in Europe today, the 25th, because
Japan.
Japanese video game.
It's
Yes.
so odd.
Yes, it's, yeah. It
What
happened.
year is it? Jeez.
Yeah, right? I mean, to be fair, there were some legit reasons in a way. They added some stuff to the Western, I'm going to call it in Western release, like North American, European release, like the ability to romance whoever you like of the romanceable partners and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was a very staggered release, and I know people were waiting for 5 for a very, very long time because there hasn't been an entry in the series in like 10 years. And this is, for those who don't know, this is like the OG life sim. So basically, because what happened is Harvest Moon came out, and then the same devs were like, Rune Factory, which is Harvest Moon, but with fantasy and dungeon crawling. So it's like one of the OG games, and now there's finally another one.
I spent so long waiting for Rune Factory 5, I forgot that I was.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just looked it up. The
Same.
last Rune Factory I played was Rune Factory 3
Yeah.
on the 3DS.
Is that
Yep.
the one with the dragon?
Same.
I remember lots of fantasy things.
No, the
including a
big
dragon.
the big dragon you mean Venti, that was 4.
Oh, okay. So yeah, jeez.
Yeah, but that was also a bajillion years ago. There was a re-release, a remaster for Switch for Special that also came out on Steam last year in December. But yeah, this is a new entry in the series, and they switched away from 2D top-down graphics to 3D. And
No.
yeah, I know. Though, to be fair, it is, I think you could theoretically play it because it's like over-the-shoulder far away from the character.
It's almost
stuff.
an MMO perspective.
It will work, yeah.
Yeah, you could possibly play it, but the problem is with that. Not only are the graphics, they look very outdated. Like they look.
Thank you. Someone said it.
They look old. Like don't get me wrong. Like I love the game. It's Rune Factory. It's just whatever I like. Everything I wanted from another Rune Factory game. I love it for the gameplay, but the graphics. No, like even their Story of Seasons game that came out last year, Pioneers of Olive Town, looked better. And even that was already a little bit outdated, but this, really, really rough. And that's not even the worst. I could forgive that because I play, indie games that sometimes look, like sometimes deliberately they look old or they don't. But like I don't really care about that so much. What is the problem is the frame rate. Not only is it locked to 30.
So it's a Switch exclusive right now, right?
Yes, and the problem is the frame rate. The frame rate is the problem because it's locked to 30, but you don't ever even hit 30. That's the problem. It's so framey, and you drop frames, and then sometimes when you have a full farm plot, which is not even that many spots, it's like 100 and let's say 20 plants. When you load in, it takes a solid 10 seconds for everything to load in. So you load into the farm.
Horrible.
It's completely empty. Then the farm plots appear. Then they change color to be in their water, and then the plants will appear. It's so bad. Like, it could have been so good, but
Is this an issue of the Switch showing its age, or is this just an issue of kind of development of the game? Because like it did release a year ago in Japan.
It's the game. Yeah, it released a year ago in Japan. It had the same issues, and people were hoping that they would fix it in the meantime, but they did not. Because the thing is, Story of Seasons had the same issue as well at the start. And that was the game as well. And that game, for some reason, they were able to fix within 3 days. And then after that, it was completely fine. But this game, it just runs. It has like adaptive resolution type stuff, but even that doesn't help with the frame rate. It just makes everything else look bad. I'm so saddened. Like I streamed it for 3 days straight, but I had to stop because I just don't think people enjoy watching it because it's so framey, and I love the gameplay and I love the gameplay loop, and I haven't even made it out of spring yet, but it's just so hard to handle and to play and to look at. And I'm so sad.
That's disappointing because
It
I've
is,
been looking
yes.
forward to it for a while.
Yeah.
Are you going to continue it then? Not for streaming, but for yourself? Or
probably.
is it so bad that you can't? Okay.
No, I will probably. I'll maybe wait a little bit and hope that they'll put out a patch. I will probably keep playing it. Some people have said that for them it was a bit better when playing in handheld mode. But like
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. But yeah, it's just and because with that I think so like why did they have to switch to 3D if they were struggling with the engine so much? Why not just keep it top down, 2D pixel art? Because like that could have totally worked. And it's just so sad because it could have been so good.
Maybe we'll get a PC port in a few years that'll make the frame rate hit 35.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing is? People are already playing it on Switch emulators on the PC.
I was gonna ask that next. It's like, have they fixed it in emulation yet?
Yes, and it runs on solid 60 on that one.
I want to
That's
see somebody
so sad.
running. I want to see somebody running it on a Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's so sad. The thing is though, because they have released Friends of Mineral Town on Steam, and Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town also got a Steam release 8-ish month after the Switch release. So there is nothing's been confirmed yet. I don't want to start a rumor mill or anything like that, but I would say it's safe to assume that this will also come out on PC eventually, and I would, unless somebody really, 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 really wants to play it now, I would probably just suggest waiting and seeing if the PC port maybe can get through the frame rate issues, or buy it and then emulate it if you feel bad about emulating without buying a game, which is also illegal. So buy the game and then emulate it if you really want to play it now.
Commit crimes. Screw capitalism. Kiri, do you want to talk to me about Oddrealm?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know, a couple podcast episodes ago, Blind mentioned Oddrealm, and then last week we had the developer as a guest for an interview, and I finally checked it out, and I'm so happy I did. It's been sitting in my library for years, probably, but I never touched it until Blind mentioned that there was a huge update, and basically encouraged everybody to check it out, so I did. And it's really fun. I have to say, it has a steep learning curve, or especially for me, because I haven't played any games yet with a set level. So I really struggled with building something, be that, I don't know, something that I wanted to have on the ground, like an object or a wall or a roof on the proper level. But eventually I got the hang of it, and it's really good. I enjoy it. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to distinguish just pixels, what you see, really. But I like it so far. It's really fun.
Oddrealm has always kind of had the issue of like, what sea level am I building on? But like with this update, the developer did add in, or Waylon added in a few features. Like if you hold down Alt, it makes all of the other levels go opaque, black and white. So when you're highlighting a particular level, it's way clearer as to what you're building on. But I think Oddrealm has always kind of suffered from visual clarity issues, which is ironically the exact same issues that Dwarf Fortress suffers with when you use a tile set, because it's just difficult to kind of differentiate from layer to layer because that top-down perspective is so unique. There are literally 2 games I know of in existence that have that perspective, and it's Dwarf Fortress and Oddrealm. Mm-hmm. And it's outside of a few like single-player roguelikes that also have that perspective, but with that you're just controlling a single @ symbol, so it's a lot less ridiculous, I guess, when you're trying to build things. Like Angband has had that system, and that's been around since the 90s, and like there's a number of examples of older games that have that, but it's just the 2 games that kind of have the colony management plus the Z levels. But I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I mean, it is definitely not an easy game to learn.
Yeah, I noticed that. But I played about, I don't know, I'm going to say 15 hours now, I'm actually not sure, but a couple streams. And every time I play, I learn something else, or I realize, oh, wait, I've done that wrong because this is actually not working. I have to do it differently. Mm-hmm. And it's been really good. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Have you found any bosses, out of curiosity?
No, there are bosses.
You start digging.
Okay. Well, I found some kind of creature that just attacked me while I was digging, or like a couple of creatures. Mm-hmm. I dug a bit, not too far, but we kind of spawned several Balrog, just, I don't know, creatures. No bosses. Interesting. If there are bosses, I need to dig deeper.
There are some reoccurring characters. I won't spoil things, but there are some reoccurring characters in Oddrealm that may or may not be on your map that are found as you dig deeper.
Okay.
Some of them are malevolent, some of them are friendly, some of them are just there. And they all kind of have different purposes, but it's kind of like, because the actual structure of Oddrealm, like, which Waylon has talked about a lot, then this is kind of the less developed portion of the game right now, is the whole notion of summoning bosses and discovering the characters who live underground, because it's supposed to be a world that's like been gone through a calamity and you're coming out of the Dark Ages, right? Kind of like that fantasy trope. And there are some really neat things underground, but you might need to found a new town. If you go back out to the overworld, you can select anywhere on the map and found a new town and go to a new location. Which you do keep all of your progress for that faction that you were playing. So if you're playing humans and you go somewhere else, you'll still have your whole tech tree, so you can progress way quicker. even though you have a new set of people. But so you might need to move to a new location to find certain things, but there are cool things underground when you start digging in Oddrealm.
That's good to know. I haven't dug too much because I was mostly focused on what I can do on ground floor and higher. Like I made an apartment building, for example, with lots of just little rooms, just going high up because I found that very fascinating.
Yeah. You're building the wrong way.
But
apparently you got to go
nice.
Down.
Building
apparently,
towers
yes.
is cool though.
I'm going to do that.
I've made it to the point in my current playthrough where I actually have kind of a lot of money, because there's like a point when especially when you start digging down and you start finding the more valuable resources, the traders show up with way more money to spend, so that they can buy your more valuable gear. And so I kind of have a lot of money, and the scaling of the invasions is definitely tied to the amount of money you have sitting in your vault, because you can make a stockpile and assign it as a vault where they just put all the money, which is real fun, just having like a room that's just piles and piles of gold. But I'm at the point now where I get attacked like 2 to 3 times a season with like 15 guys, and they come in from all angles. It's kind of neat watching them climb over the walls and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, so now I know I've got so much to do still.
It's a pretty dense game for what it is. But
yeah, but I'm enjoying it a lot. So thank you again for the recommendation.
I'm glad. Arch, do you want to talk about this little indie game, Stardew Valley, I think it's called?
Yeah, I'm back in a Stardew Valley kick.
What brought you back?
What brought me back was a desire to play Stardew Valley. I go through it every now and again. You're playing any game, and any game that's got like farming in it, you instantly start connecting it to old games you've played as well. And I was playing a range of games and just got this real, no, I want to go back to building a farm. And so I checked out Stardew Valley, and I got the Stardew Valley Expanded mod pack, which is absolutely great. It's so big, has so much more stuff, and started playing on that and decided to play it on stream. And then I received about 3 or 4 different recommendations for Ridgeside Valley and then East Scar. And so my playing has gone from like a tiny little like Stardew Valley to so many expansions that there's just so many people, and I have no clue where everything is, and it's like a brand new game again.
That sounds really cool.
It really is.
Go on.
Yeah,
no,
sorry.
No.
I've played lots and lots of Stardew, and it was actually the first game I streamed. And I hunted for achievements then, but I also dabble into mods, and it's amazing what you can do with those mods. Like you just play a completely different game.
It's just absolutely amazing how much that game has in both vanilla content and the modding community. I always get blown away by the fact that one person made it, and then when you start playing, and then there's the mods like I'm not sure if anyone here has played Stardew Valley Expanded, that mod.
Nope.
Oh my god, you need to. It adds new NPCs, new events, new locations, new crops, new everything. And it is just so much more. Like there's an entire quest line in regards to the Junimo, and you learn more about them. There's a quest line regarding like the wizard and the fighters guild that you learn more about that. And I'm pretty sure you actually can now go to the city that they talk about. I've not gotten there yet, but there's just so much more added, and it's absolutely incredible because it really does carry that feeling of I need to explore this all over again.
That's nice.
Oh, sounds pretty good, yeah. Might save it up for a time when there's not much stuff coming out. You know, like
Yeah.
when it's like a drought of games.
The biggest problem you get is when people come in and they're like, I bought this game on Switch, or I bought this game on Xbox, and you're like, oh, you can get it on PC too, and then you can have all the mods as well.
Yeah, I had that when because I actually bought Stardew when it first came out, because I am an OG Harvest Moon and Rune Factory person, so I was like, oh my goodness, yes. Never got into it really, and I didn't get into it at all. And then last year, when 1.5 came out, I streamed it. And I had a fantastic time. And we played basically through everything that there was to do. Including, obviously, the new content on the island and whatnot. And I had a freaking blast. But before that, I could never really get into it. It was really weird. But I had the same... this is just what that reminded me of. When I was playing that and playing the new content, and you got the people on console come in and they were like... So when is 1.5 coming to console? And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry.
Feels bad.
Yeah, feels really bad.
See, for me, Stardew was that game that you remember was in development every couple of months. And, 6 months, and you'd be like, that's right, this guy was making a PC version of Harvest Moon. And you'd go load it up, go to the website, and there'd be a few updates of, oh, here's what I've been doing. And you're like, oh, that's cool. And so I'd just go on from that. And then I recall making a few friends. And I was like, we were chatting on Discord. And I'm like, oh, yeah, what's everyone up to? And one of them's like, oh, I'm playing Stardew Valley. And I'm like, wait, isn't that game? And she was like, yeah, do you want to watch? And she ended up streaming it to me on Steam. And I'm watching it going... oh my god, this is Harvest Moon. This is not, it's not just Harvest Moon, it's Harvest Moon on the SNES, which was the best Harvest Moon before it went to 3D. Or I will also accept the argument that Harvest Moon DS is potentially the best due to the addition of harvest sprites, but 2D Harvest Moon beats any other Harvest Moon.
Agreed.
I only played the one for Game Boy Color. It was a 2D one, but I don't know what else it was called. If it was Harvest Moon or had a subtitle, I'm not sure.
I think I know of that one. I played that one retrospectively. In other words, only a couple of years ago, I think I checked it out on an emulator, and I was like, nah, I compared to DS, there was no comparison there. But yeah, so Stardew Valley has me loving the farming again, loving Stardew Valley again, and quite simply, I've been looking forward to streaming it every chance I get. So, it's kind of had multiple benefits for me.
That's always
It's
good.
great when you have a game like that.
Yeah, where you can't wait to start the stream because you're enjoying it so much.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Is it difficult for you not to play the game on your own then without streaming it? Or do you have a different save file maybe?
I don't have a different save file because, one thing about me is I have ADHD, and that can lead to me basically hyper-focusing on something and then burning out on it quickly. So I'm actually rationing Stardew Valley for myself because I've had it happen with other games. Been loving playing it on stream so much that I started playing it off stream. And because I work from home, I can pretty much always have a game open. And, so I end up playing so many hours on it off stream. By the time it comes to on stream, my save file's behind, or I've made all this progress. So I kind of learned to, if I'm enjoying streaming a game, I leave it for streaming because otherwise I'll burn myself out on it.
Yeah, right, that makes sense.
Feel that way as well.
Yep,
about
same.
games. It's very rare that I will play a game off stream and then stream it. If I'm playing a game off stream, it's like, this is an off stream game. and it
I
can't
have
be
that-
streamed.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I've played some games on stream that haven't sort of captured me on stream, but off stream I've loved playing them. The latest example that comes to mind is Eastward. I was playing that on stream, and it sort of was a struggle for me because there was so much dialogue, and you're reading out the dialogue and all of that. And so that on stream became a little bit much, and then I decided, no, this was going off stream, and I've just loved it since.
Eastward just looks like desktop background simulator to me.
Eastward looks really beautiful.
Every single scene in that entire game could just be a desktop background by itself.
I called it Midwestern Dad Zelda. Because he's running
Dad Zelda.
He's running around in like this parka and this gruff look and hitting everything, and it's like feels very Zelda like, but also, you're a middle-aged guy in a parka.
I've never seen Zelda have that much dialogue though.
Yeah, true. But your character doesn't talk, so
True. You are a silent protag, I guess.
I really want to play Eastward at some point. It looks really cool. But yeah, those games are really hard to stream. I've had that as well with like non-voiced CRPGs. Yeah. It's so hard. I love CRPGs, but the text. Which is why, shout outs again, Expeditions Rome was so amazing because it was fully voice acted. Oh.
I still need to play Disco Elysium for that reason because it's voice acted now.
Yeah,
yes.
True.
I had so much more fun with it. Like I tried playing it off stream before it was completely voice acted, and I just couldn't get into it. It was just so not boring because the game is really good, but I don't know. It made it so much better after it was voice acted.
It's voice acted now?
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
I have a hard time differentiating in my head different voices, so everybody gets confused after a while, especially in games, because it'll give you like a portrait and tell you the person's name, whereas in like a book, if you're reading it, it's like so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that.
Yeah,
Video games are never written like that, right? Video games are like, it's this person, block of dialogue, 40 hours later. Who is that person again? Voice acting in games like that is very helpful just for that reason.
Okay, the one voice acting thing that throws me every time, Elder Scrolls Online has amazing quests and amazing voice acting, except it's also got the voice actor of Winnie the Pooh.
What?
Yeah, the guy who does the voice for Winnie the Pooh also does voice acting within Elder Scrolls Online. And naturally, I mean, they've got so many NPCs, so many lines that, any voice actor handles like a dozen or more characters. So you'll be occasionally sitting there and you'll realize that the person you're talking to is Winnie the Pooh, just gruffer. And it always throws me because, voice actors can tend to be able to put on a real different voice and such. He just sounds like Winnie the Pooh, though.
You know what that reminds me of? It's the same, because in Germany, they dub every English movie and TV show. And certain big actors will have a dedicated voice actor that does their voice. But those voice actors can't just live off of dubbing, let's say, like Johnny Depp's movies or whatever. So they take other roles as well. And then you're just watching a show. And then suddenly it's like basically Johnny Depp's voice just coming in from like this other random character that looks completely different. And it's like, what? What?
Yeah.
It's so confusing. Oh, it's very strange.
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with voice acting. Kiri and FG, can you two talk to us about Speedy Recovery 2 Point Hospital?
Sure. So Speedy Recovery is the newest DLC for 2 Point Hospital. It came out last week. And it adds a really cool mechanic. So it adds the usual, there are 3 new hospitals, there are a couple new illnesses and objects. It's really funny, more jokes, more funny radio lines and everything. But it also adds ambulances. So now you get to pick up patients from the map and do that on time before they die, and then treat them in your hospital. And I really like the new mechanic. It was great. So I streamed it a couple of times, and I now 100%ed the DLC. It was good.
Nice. So I've been working on that. I played it on stream for. Did I do 2 days or 1 day last week? I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I think I did only 1 day, and I've been playing it off stream as well because there were just so many other games that came out that I wanted to get to. And I agree with Kiri. It's probably, mechanically speaking, if you were to only get one DLC for the game, I would suggest getting that because it actually adds new stuff to the game, like a new mechanic. That's completely different from what is in the game so far.
How different is the mechanic? Like how exactly does it play into the game loop?
So you have a map, and there are different emergencies that you pop up, and you have to have ambulances as well as staff to either drive or fly those ambulances. And you assign which ambulance goes to which emergency, and then they go and pick up the patients and bring them to the hospital. And depending on how good of a diagnostician your like ambulance driver / pilot is, they already might come with a diagnosis, or they still need to go to the diagnosis process, and then so yeah, it adds actually a new mechanic. It's really solid.
Yeah,
It's neat that they're continuing to develop that thing.
It's surprising because 2 Point Campus is coming out in 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's neat. Like, I'm kind of curious as to who's doing the heavy lifting on those DLCs, or if they were like finished a while ago.
Maybe. I don't know. I was
question.
surprised. I was surprised that we got a DLC for 2 Point Hospital so close to 2 Point Campus release. Like, I assumed 2 Point Hospital was done and finished. Actually, I have to admit.
See, I played 2 Point Hospital and I could never get into it.
I'm kind of in the same boat. For me, I just kind of hit a wall where I think that this actually got changed, but I kind of hit a wall with the original game where it was like cloning the same room every time. And
yeah, every new illness
not
just required
fun.
a new room. You know, there was no managing or balancing. It was just, okay, now there's this illness, you need to have this room. And
go on, sorry.
No, I was just about to say, and that sort of hit the point for me that the gameplay loop wasn't overly satisfying there.
I get
It
that.
does get a bit
I can echo that.
repetitive, yeah.
Yeah.
But with every DLC, they add something new. And especially with the speedy recovery one, I really enjoyed that change of pace. Because you have to for the achievements, you have to be quick to get the patients and really... The achievements are not that easy to get in this DLC, I'd say.
Yep.
But also it changes the way you can play because the patients don't get a say in which hospital they go to. So you can just pick them up and then they're in your hospital. So you can just increase the prices plus 100%, make them pay so much. That will decrease your reputation, but reputation doesn't count anymore because, they have to go where you bring them, basically.
Oh, so it's the it's the American healthcare system.
Yeah, so it makes it easier because you will never struggle for money in that DLC. It makes it a bit harder because you have to... Actually, only the achievements made it harder.
Yeah, if you want to go for the achievements, you have to actually make sure that you research all the upgrades for your vehicles and upgrade the vehicles, and then you have to train your drivers and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah,
to get them.
It just reminds me of, playing the old Bullfrogs theme park where you would make maximum salt on the chips and then, raise the prices of drinks so they had no choice but to buy your drinks.
I mean,
that actually works in
I like that
too, where you you crank up the salt on the popcorn, and then you crank up the sugar so that they on the soft drinks so that they run to the popcorn faster, and then they go buy more soft drinks. And because you cranked up the sugar and sugar's cheap, they can move faster because they're all having sugar rushes, and so they run back and forth just buying both of them on repeat. It's pretty great.
Also, you say that, and then theme park. Theme Hospital, 2 Point Hospital, same devs, same people.
It is the same founding members, but largely different studio. But
well, yeah, of course,
it's those people.
But it's those people. It's like the same ideas and people kind of living on in a way, which is cool.
my favorite part about those games is just watching the trailers and seeing all the puns.
Yeah, there's a lot of puns.
Full of puns. Yes.
Yes. But something that isn't full of puns, I don't think, is I keep reading it as Planet Coaster on here because I'm sick. But FG, do you want to talk about Planet Crafter?
Yeah, so Planet Crafter is a game that I played actually for the first time last year during one of the Steam Next Fests. Played the demo. Didn't play the demo for too long because I was like, all right. It was one of those games where you played the demo and you were like, this is good. I will play this when it comes out, next demo, right? Because you're trying to get through like lots of demos. Because the demo actually has literally over 10 hours of content to do in the demo. But it's now out in early access. Came out on the 24th. It's by two developers. It's by Mijou Games. It's by they're two developers from France. They're a couple apparently, and they're just working on that game. And basically, the storyline is you are a convicted felon, and it's corporate dystopia. So basically, the corporations are like, okay, you can sit in prison and rot, or you can go to this barren wasteland of a planet and terraform it. We'll give you a couple of tools. You will probably die as most planet crafters, but at least you're not in prison. And then you just land in this tiny little pod, and you have to fend for yourself. And you work on terraforming the planet. So there's resources scattered around, and there's more resources coming with like meteors that crash into the surface of the planet because there's no atmosphere and that sort of stuff. And you gather the resources, and then you kind of like in a Subnautica kind of way, you have basically like a 3D printer like in Subnautica that uses resources that you put into it, and then you start making like O2 tanks and a better exoskeleton and all that sort of stuff, and you start building machinery to like increase the heat of the atmosphere and drill into the planet to release like greenhouse gases and that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit like Subnautica meets Surviving Mars, terraforming aspect of it in particular, but like survival crafty. Like it's really fun. And yes, it's early access, and you can tell, but there is a lot of content. Like I've played 10 plus hours now of it, and I just got to the stage where I have tiny little lakes, not even lakes, puddles of water around, and there's like still so much more to do and stuff to look for. There's also a mystery. I'm not going to spoil the storyline, because there's like ships that have been crashing on the planet for over 20 years, attracted by a mysterious force. So there's like also a story. It's not just like a sandboxy terraforming game as well. So it's really good. I've been really enjoying it, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm going to play more of it on Monday because I've been enjoying it so much.
I remember having this conversation with somebody when Subnautica was just releasing from early access, saying and the conversation basically was just, can't wait to see what other games that are inspired by this start looking like. Because, someone needs to make survival games for normal people and not people who just play DayZ. And this looks like one of those, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, but it also has its own twist with the whole terraforming mechanic, and you have to like increase the parameters, and basically because it's corporate dystopia, by increasing the parameters of the atmosphere, they unlock new crafting recipes for you. So if you're not doing your job, you're basically not going to get any food and water, and you're not going to get the recipes to grow, for example, your own food. So you're kind of forced to work and that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit of that aspect happening as well, and it's been really fun. And also, yeah, there have been some weird graphical glitches, like when you harvest resources and the resources kind of freak out a little bit. But besides that, solid frame rate, no crashes, no, blue screens or anything like that, which is always also kind of important to talk about when you play early access games. Really solid, and you can play a lot. Like there's a lot of content already in it. As I said, I'm over 10 hours in, and yeah, nowhere near finished yet with what there is in terms of content, and the game's like not even £14 at the moment, so already a really good price to play time ratio.
It sounds really good. I know I can't play because I watched you play it. It's
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a Kiri
not
game.
Kiri friendly,
No,
but from what you're saying, it sounds really cool.
it's really fun. It's a really good game for me personally to stream, because you always have something to do, but it's at the same time kind of so simplistic in a way that you can always very easily talk with chat, and like just it's one of those games which is really good. I like those games a lot for streaming.
All
That's
right,
awesome.
I'm gonna dive in here and talk about Shattered Pixel Dungeon for a second.
What is that?
This is an easy one for me to talk about for a couple of reasons. But if you go to Steam and you just type in Pixel Dungeon, you'll find almost exactly the same game. And you might wonder why. Well, Pixel Dungeon is a open source dungeon crawler that has been in existence for a while. They some of them are on PC, some of them are free, some of them are on, like, there's a few on Steam, including the original Pixel Dungeon. But essentially it's like a dungeon crawling engine, right? Shattered Pixel Dungeon is the most popular fork of that structure. Shattered Pixel Dungeon has been on phones for quite a long time. I'm not entirely sure how the monetization works on the phone version. I just know that it's free to play. I think it's kind of a unlocking classes, and there's ads and a few other things in it. But I know that it has some format of microtransactions. I'm just not entirely sure how that side of it works. On Steam, they've just released Shattered Pixel Dungeon, that fork, with a proper PC release, because it's only been on phones up until now. And so essentially it's one of the most developed versions of this game. It looks a lot nicer than the original Pixel Dungeon. It plays a lot better than the original Pixel Dungeon. It has more animation. It's a lot more polished. But structurally, it's just a very solid dungeon crawler. There are 4 playable classes. They're all relatively unique and play well enough. It's got some neat mechanics that are not immediately obvious, but it explains them quite well. As you're going down through your first few runs through, you unlock pages of a journal, which basically just explain all of the most important mechanics to you. Some of the mechanics are a little bit obtuse, like there's a crafting system with alchemy tables that you might as well just open the wiki for, because you're supposed to like discover that stuff by experimentation and finding the journal pages at the very end of the dungeon. But if you want to like play the game, I recommend just opening up the wiki. I do have a few complaints, though, specifically with the PC version. There's some UI scaling weirdness where some of the elements are itty-bitty, and I don't know if that's just my monitor setup or if that's the game itself, but some of the text is like, I literally like need to pull out a magnifying glass to read it. And I have the UI set to be the biggest possible, so I would love like a double-size UI option. That'd be fantastic. But aside from that, it's Pixel Dungeon. It plays like Pixel Dungeon. It's cheap. It's like $10, and it's just a very solid, albeit a little bit generic, dungeon crawler. And I will probably play more of it. I'd like to get a win in it. That's Pixel Dungeon.
Cool.
Dungeon crawlers are always fun. Like a fun, like, type of game to like just sink in 10, 15 hours, get a run, and then move on.
And if you want to try it, you can try it for free on your phone if you want to just get an idea of what it's going to be like.
True.
So
True.
if you're interested in trying it, just download it on your phone and putz through a dungeon for a little bit. And if that seems interesting to you, the PC version just seems like a better version of that.
Awesome.
Nice.
So
It's like a demo just on your phone.
yeah, it's like a demo, except it tries to like get its hand into your wallet.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Also, it's on phone. I never play games on phone. Ugh.
Yeah.
Me neither. No.
Which is why this is mostly my first experience with Shattered Pixel Dungeon, because like I've had it installed on my phone for like ages. I played it briefly when I was in hospital, but I didn't stick with it. I ended up playing more of Sproggywood, which is another dungeon crawler, which is also on PC and on phones by the creators of Caves of Cud, which I just ended up playing more on phones because it was a paid-for game and didn't have like the microtransaction stuff. So at a point, if I am going to play a game on phones, I'd rather just pay $5 for a game and play it instead of the free-to-play
Absolutely.
issues. Which is why I will play this because it's on PC and I like dungeon crawlers. So I will play more of it.
It's also why I always get that Google Play Pass or whatever it is, because I don't play games on my phone often, but when I do, I don't want to see ads. I don't want to see microtransactions.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. I said that was a quick one, so I'm gonna just leave it at that with Pixel Dungeon. But I do have another dungeon crawler to talk about real quick. I've been playing the various games from 7-Day RL 2022, which is a game jam where you make a roguelike in 7 days. The more roguish, the better. By that, like, the more ASCII you can make it, the more turn-based you can make it, the more people will like it. And I found one that I kind of think is a real gem. I've found a few gems so far, but this one really stands out, which is the Depths of Greed, which takes first off, this game kind of has a lot of writing in it, which is surprising. Like, the character details are kind of awesome, and like, just examining everything is worth it, and reading all the text because it's funny and well written. But the whole conceit is you are a merchant and your daughter is sick. And in order to cure your daughter, you have to get to the bottom of the dungeon to find the magic potion to cure your daughter. It's pretty simple fantasy tropes. But because you're a merchant, you don't have any skills with swinging a sword. You don't know magic. But what you do know is shrewd business tactics. So what you have to do is you go into this dungeon and you have to trade gold for bones from the goblins, because the goblins want gold and all they have is bones from all these adventurers they keep on murdering. So you take the bones from them and then you go sell the bones to the trolls, who give you gold back for selling them bones, and you get more gold, and so you're making a profit now. But you can only trade with each character once, so you have to use limited run abilities to trade with them a second time. And there's a bunch of different currencies in the game. There's gold, there's bones, there's weapons, there's elixirs, there's souls, there's artifacts, and then there's the potion at the bottom. And you have to buy the potion at the bottom from the final boss without going into debt. So because everybody buys and sells things at different amounts, if you buy too many bones from one guy and you accidentally go into debt with gold, then you find yourself running to the other end of the dungeon to find somebody who will buy something from you in exchange for gold, and you might have to use abilities like flash sale, where suddenly you take less profits but everybody wants to trade with you again, or you can offer a specific character a special deal where you get plus 50% profits from them, but they want to trade with you twice, so maybe you won't have enough to actually give them. There's a lot of really neat little abilities that are all based around flash sales and closing up shop, which is like an AoE stun, basically, where you're like, I'm not selling anything anymore, then they all stop following you for a bit. You can banish people to a no floor. There's a wand of go the heck away, which is really funny. And just like a lot of neat little bits in there. I mean, it's very simple. It's a game that was made in 7 days, and there's definitely like a way to get through it. Because from what I can tell, like, it's the same number of people spawn on each floor, so it's just kind of a matter of figuring out who needs what. But it's a really fun little game, and I ended up putting a good couple of hours into it. And we'll probably play more off stream, because it's actually like a really fun little economy puzzle in a dungeon, and the writing is good. So
there's no fighting at all. It's really just trading.
It's just a trading game.
Awesome.
If everybody, the conceit of it is, like, if you go into debt, right, then a timer starts ticking down based on how far into debt you are. So the more into debt your little dollar sign goes, the faster the timer ticks down. And when it hits 0, it's game over. But it's game over because everybody got mad and mobbed you, basically. Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea.
It's a great pitch. I it's one of those, like, every single time I cover the 7-Day RL, I always want there's always a couple games that I go, man, I hope that they develop that more. And this is kind of the one that I've played this year that I go, man, I really hope that this gets made into a game. From a couple of years ago, Ponbarian is a game that is bouncing around Steam, which was a 7-Day RL, which was really popular, and a lot of people really liked, and they developed it into a full game. And I hope that this gets some more development time behind it, because it's really neat.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, keep your expectations leveled. Like, it's a bunch of letters that you're trading with, and like, it has no sound effects and stuff like that. But like,
yeah, I'm
fun.
behind the idea for sure.
It's fun. So that's Depths of Greed. FG, what the heck is City Wars TD?
So full disclosure, I did like a short sponsored segment for that today. So I did get money to play it, but so City Walls TD is an early access game, free to play, completely free to play, no microtransactions or anything in the game right now. So you can just go to Steam, type in City Walls Tower Defense, and you can play it. It's single player and multiplayer. We played multiplayer. And basically, it's tower defense. So you build towers to hit enemies that come out of a gate, and they try to get to your crystal, and you need to prevent them from getting to your crystal and destroying the crystal. Simple tower defense stuff, right? But it is also like sort of a crafting, building, farming type game. So to build the towers, you start off the basic version. You build just with like currency that you have. But then to upgrade it, you need to start. The first upgrade is basically a log. To get a log, you need to grab some branches and some stone. And then you need to build a crafting table. And then you grab some more, on the crafting table, you build a stone axe. And then with a stone axe, you can chop down a tree. So you get a log, so you can upgrade your upgrade your tower that is shooting at your enemies. While you're doing all this farming, harvesting, crafting. So it's sort of a tower defense, but on the side, it's voxel based. Somewhat, it's not really. It doesn't. It's block based, like art as well. So it's obviously people are going to say it's going to look like Minecraft. It doesn't look like Minecraft, but it's voxely like Minecraft in that regard for certain things. But certain things are not quite voxely. But the characters are. The terrain is voxely. But then, like, some of the plants and whatnot are not. And then it just, like, the crafting and the gathering just gets more and more complicated. Basically, by beating a map, you get unlock points that you can then spend, and then you get, like, a forge and a spinning wheel. So you can then make rope. And with rope, you can repair the coal pit. And you need the coal to make metal in the, like to forge stuff in the forge and that sort of stuff, and it gets just more and more complicated in terms of like the crafting and building and harvesting. But at the same time, it's also a tower defense game. It's actually really clever. Like, it was really fun to play. Still, as I said, early access, but it's free to play, so just try it out and see if you like it. I had fun playing with it in multiplayer.
I love tower defense games. It sounds very interesting.
Same. It was really cool, and it's multiplayer too. Like, you can just play with friends on Steam. The one thing that I didn't like, and that was mostly a streaming thing, is they have global chat, and you can't turn global chat off. It's not so good for streaming.
No.
Yeah, that can be risky.
Yeah.
That's sketchy.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that they need to implement, that you can just hide chat. Because I don't want to see those people's messages. Thank you. But the gameplay itself is really solid, and I really enjoyed playing it. Like, I mean, it's free. Like, as I said, it doesn't have any monetization at all yet. The one that I think they're thinking about the most, what they're talking about is just skins for your characters. Because you already have different classes. You have pirate, mage, fighter, and one other thing that I currently can't think of. And you can already change, like, certain bits of their outfit, like, just for free. Like, it's just in the game. But yeah, they're just thinking of maybe monetizing it with skins, which I think is completely fine.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah, I was going to ask what they were planning on doing for monetization, because, like, completely free, no monetization is always what are you...
It's no monetization for now. Like, they have a Steam post up where they talk about that sort of stuff already, because... yeah, it's more of it's like basically a test right now to see, like, do people like it? What do they think? What do they want, to, like, improve maybe, and that sort of stuff, and go from there. But hey, it's free and it's got multiplayer.
See, the thing is I can see where you're coming from, this Blind. It's almost like, what are they gonna fling on us?
How are they gonna ruin it?
But for me, it's like, they do realize they need to be paid, right? Like,
No,
how are they going to
do.
feed themselves? No,
100%. 100%. As I said, they do talk about it, and they, for example, and that's like their main, like, if you look at Steam, they are currently mostly positive, and most people are complaining about the fact that on release it was really laggy because the servers that they had were not big enough for the amount of people that played.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, that's kind of what happens to everybody, right? But
Time and time again, tale as old as time.
yeah, it is. But yeah, they have that. They also have like a Twitch integration thingy. I didn't try that, but there's like a Twitch integration thing, and it looks really interesting. Like, I'm excited to see where this goes. And it ran pretty well as well. The only thing, like, you can't turn off screen check at the moment, which is meh. But yeah. Besides that, it was fun. Like, for what it is right now. Obviously, it's currently not, it's nowhere finished and whatnot. But it was, yeah. I had fun with it.
Kiri, do you want to talk to us about Lost Ark or Pokemon? Or both?
Yeah, but I can do both because it's really just quickly. Those are games that I've been playing off stream.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Ark, I'm almost level 50. So close. And I'm very excited because people say that you kind of need to reach level 50 and then the game opens up and then you can actually do stuff. And yeah, because Lost Ark is supposed to be an MMO, but you can do everything on your own, and that's a bit sad. So I hope that once I hit that level 50, I can actually do stuff with other people, and it makes sense to do that as well.
Yeah, now there's definitely lots of stuff opening up at that point.
It's actually funny because I was playing through and I realized that I couldn't do everything I wanted until I hit 50. So I just powered through. I was like, bugger it. I'm going to power through. I'm going to hit 50 and then it's all going to open up and going to have some fun with it. And I hit 50 and it opened up and I was like, it's all so complicated.
It is complicated, yeah.
It's a Korean MMO.
It's a Korean free-to-play MMO.
Yeah.
At that name, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting there trying to work out what engraving is, what faceting is, and like item levels, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm getting a bit confused here.
I watch streams and I know what you mean. Yeah. So you power through until level 50. Do you, like, are you continuing now? Or do you see everything that you have to do now and it's too complicated and you give up?
I've not logged in a week.
Right.
I went from playing daily to hitting 50, running around a little bit and being like, okay. But that's kind of the thing for me. Once I realize the amount of time and the dailies and all of that you start having to put in.
Clear the categories with you.
Yeah. Like once that happens with me, I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go because I'm not a fan of dailies in any game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
I have to admit, I kind of, because I played Lost Ark off stream as well. I even streamed it for a bounty once. I made it all the way till I level 460, and then I kind of just stopped. Like, I don't know. I haven't felt the need to log in again since then, and now it's been almost a week. And the last time I logged in, the last 2 days I logged in was just to grab the daily login reward. So yeah,
I mean, it's still doing real well. I mean, it had like 1.3 million players at launch. I mean, it's still got 400,000. Like, it's still trucking along.
Oh,
I have a feeling it'll probably have itself again, and it'll keep going.
Stabilize. It also has a massive bot problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess that's part of the problem with being an old game, right?
Yeah, there is this video somebody posted in it's from the Lost Ark Reddit. It's kind of mental when you look at that video.
Audio podcast, that's gonna play real well.
Yeah, I know, but like
I'll put it in the link.
Yeah, I'll chuck it into the document as well, so people can check it up. There's a lot of bots, like a lot. Like, you will like they implemented a fix where you have to have a Steam account that has spent money, at least $1, to be able to play Lost Ark. That's helped a little bit because obviously these all would just make new, like whenever a bot would got banned, they would just make a new Steam account and just make another bot to farm stuff. They've been trying to combat it, but it's still very, very, very bad, and it's like rampant, like absolutely rampant, which is obviously brought on by the fact that it is a free-to-play Korean MMO, which means there's a lot of resources to grind for, and people hate grinding, and they just pay money for it, and then they get their resources from those bots.
Never been tempted to do such a thing.
See, I actually enjoy the grind, but I think Lost Ark might have a bit too much for me personally.
Well, I chose the female martial artist, and
Same,
the
actually.
grind's not so bad, but it feels really weird in the cutscenes where there's like, you know, all this stuff going down, and I'm standing there in high heels and a corset, and I'm just like, this is so Korean.
Yeah, it is. It is. But what I was wondering, Kiri, how did you like PvP? Because you said you tried some PvP the other day.
Yeah, I did yesterday actually. So I do like PvP in MMOs. I only played 3 games because it was really late when I unlocked it yesterday. You told me earlier that apparently there's a trick to play in widescreen mode, because then I see more, and it makes so much sense. Because what happened to me was basically I got stunned by every attack. Because you get, for PvP, you get to choose all your skills and the specializations and stats and everything. So obviously people go for stuns and just debuffs. So I was permanently stunned for like seconds. And I died lots. I also killed somebody, so that was nice. But yeah, I felt like I just need to play around more with my class and see what I can do, and probably watch some guides and everything. But it does make sense now that you said it, because I felt like people know why I am, but I don't know what they are, and there's no minimap, so how could they know?
Yeah.
But apparently they saw.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, basically there is a trick. You force your game into widescreen mode, and that lets you see further to the left and to the right of the screen compared to people who are playing just a normal 16:9 resolution, because they implemented widescreen, not really all that great. So if there's a player playing against a person, like if there's a 23:9, right, that's widescreen, playing against a 16:9 widescreen person, the one on widescreen, they will just be able to see the other person, whereas they won't be able to see the widescreen player, which is really cheeky and annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still had fun though, so I'm definitely gonna play more PvP.
That's good. As long as it's fun, that's main objective.
Yeah.
What do you get as rewards for doing PvP?
You get tokens, and then it's another currency, because there are like a bajillion currencies in the game.
Of course, yeah.
And you can exchange them at the vendor, but I haven't actually gone to one yet, so I have no clue what you get, but you get tokens.
Gotcha.
And I think this is the last game we have on this list, but how's the Pokemon, Carrie?
Oh yeah, that was just I said quick for the other one too, but I spent the last weekend at my in-laws, so I don't have a PC there. I can't bring my PC, so I brought the Switch. And I played some more Pokemon, and I've played for 20 hours now. And still, I love this new style of Pokemon, which is just the open world. And it's not just about catching everything, but also about watching different attacks, so using a strong attack or an agile attack, and just all the side quests. Like, I could have been so much further advanced in the story, but I do all the side quests and I get distracted, and then there's a new Pokemon over there and I haven't I haven't completed the Pokédex for this one yet, and again, then I go over there, and it's really cool.
You know what
Just
that kind
wanted
of
to mention that again.
reminds me of? Kind of the way, I don't know, did you play Research Story, the demo, during the
No, I
last
didn't.
Steam Fest? It's kind of the same for that game as well. Like, it's basically like that, because, like, you need to observe stuff in the wild, and then you need to interact with it to learn more about it, and then you need to start farming it to learn more about it, and then you need to interact with it while farming to learn even more about it. And same with plants, like you observe them in the wild, and then you have to like grow them on your farm to learn more about them, that sort of stuff. It feels like it scratches almost the same itch, just that it's also
It
Pokemon.
sounds similar, yeah, absolutely. I just really
Nice.
liked it. It feels so much different than the other Pokemon games.
I might have to play that at some point in time.
I recommend it, yes.
I say that as somebody who's not a Pokemon person.
Yeah, I've not played a Pokemon game since... I'm pretty sure I've never finished a game other than Red, Yellow, and Blue, so...
I sunk a bajillion hours into Pokemon X, but that was during the time I was literally traveling through Japan with another person who had the Y edition. So we I don't know, that it was sort of like the game that we played like in the evenings when we were like in our rooms after having like run around Japan all day for like 12 hours or 14 hours straight, and we were like, you know, we had just eaten like dinner. It was like really late at night, but not yet bedtime. So we'd play a little bit of Pokemon and that sort of stuff. And we would go to some of the Poke Centers, and we got some of the rare Pokemons that you can get, like shinies that you could get, because that was like 3DS era. So you'd also collect like, you know, because they had that networking thing where you could collect like other people's like ID, and it would like tell you where they're from, and you could like complete maps and that sort of stuff. So it was like sort of a little bit of a special thing, really. And I tried to get into like the one that came after that, but I just couldn't. But maybe this one, this non-main series one might be it.
It just works completely different.
Yeah.
And I think that is what makes it good.
Mm.
It actually reminds me what you were saying about Pokemon X and Y was, Mum asked me all these years ago, like, what did I want for Christmas? And I said, I'll get Pokemon X or Y. She heard X and Y, so I actually got both copies of the game.
Oh.
Never finished it. Barely played it because I started and was like, nah, this 3D-ness is... like, I don't know all the Pokemon. I got very crotchety and very what was wrong with the old 151, you know? Can't even pronounce half these names.
I have to say that the new Pokemon, they're just weird. I might probably sound like an old person now, but
Yeah,
the
There's a
first
lot of
generation
Pokemon and only so many
looks
ideas.
really cool. The second generation is still cool, but then they get just cuter and weirder, and like I've got the feeling that the new ones are just for babies, really. No, seriously, they're just odd.
Okay,
Like the
so
starter Pokemons, even in the new one, they're just, what is this?
the only Pokemon game I ever actually enjoyed playing, and I've played a couple over the years, is Pokken, which is Tekken with Pokemon, where you push the button and the guy punches. And frankly, I'll play another Pokken if they ever made another Pokken, but I doubt they'll ever make another Pokken. So I would just like to take this moment to remind everybody, Pokemon is a kid's game. It's made for kids. It's designed for kids.
You saying it's
It's fueled by nostalgia, and that's
So
where its moneymaker is.
You saying that they're for babies is actually not wrong.
Yeah.
Is for
Probably
kids.
too old for this.
That being said, every now and again I still play through the Putt Putt Adventures games on Steam. So, you know, lots of things are for kids. But that's
And
not
we can
necessarily
make
bad.
the adult decision that we still enjoy those things because we're adults.
Yes.
Ha!
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legos for kids. I like. There's 1, 2, 3,
Exactly,
4, 5, 6,
yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10 Lego
Lego's
kits next to me.
great.
So, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what's also for kids? News, and that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the kind of light news week, but, you know, we say that, and give us another 40 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be back right after this short break.
Hi, this is the Halcyon Frequency Podcast, and I am Belanar. You couldn't hear me in this episode, but stick around for the future episodes for some soothing, rolling R's. Meanwhile, hop over to the twitch.tv/Belanar for some building management and strategy games, plus all kinds of variety. Come say hi, and let's go on with the show.
And we are back. I hope that you enjoyed that short break, and we are here to talk about the news. So I'm just gonna dive into the first kind of news topic of the week, which is Razer decided to make more streaming equipment. So they've made themselves a audio mixer. Now I haven't touched this thing. I haven't used this thing, but I was kind of poking around and reading some reviews about it. And it's very simple functionality. You know, you got 4 channels, you got mute buttons for all those channels, you got a microphone mute button and a curse button, which has a little expletive on it, which is kind of funny. So you either have permanent mute or momentary mute. The biggest kind of issue I've seen with this thing is it doesn't have a lot of the features that the Go XLR, which is I think kind of the default specialized mixer for streaming that a lot of people use, which I think multiple people in this call use. So it doesn't have some of those some of the features that it does, which is it doesn't have the motorized what dials. You have to use the Razer Synapse software to use it. It's the only software it's compatible with. The Razer Synapse software is notoriously awful, and there isn't an alternative. But it is cheaper than the Go XLR, at least here. So there is that.
It is not cheaper than the Mini. It's the same price as the Mini. It's basically the Go XLR Mini, just by Razer.
To a degree.
It's got the exact same things that the Mini has, because the Mini doesn't have any of the effects buttons or the loop buttons or anything like that. It's basically the same.
But the Mini doesn't require the Razer Synapse software.
No, it just requires the Go XLR proprietary software.
Which is that better than the Synapse? Because I have such a bad taste in my mouth from using Razer Synapse from trying to tell my keyboard to change colors.
It's not such a resource hog as any of those proprietary hardware apps that I've apps that I've used, Logitech G Hub or the Myonix or the Corsair or whatever. It's not that bad. And Go XLR, actually, the people are Helicon. They're really good about responding to issues and helping you bug fix and that sort of stuff. They have had some update rollouts that have been a bit buggy, but the software itself actually is pretty dang good.
What I will say about this thing, looking at its features, is I'm using a Zoom 140 or 44U, which has almost identical features to this thing and costs $99 instead of $249. Granted, it doesn't have any fancy lights on it, but it has no proprietary software. It's plug and play. So,
yeah. I mean,
that's all I'll say, I guess.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I think it is attractive to the same crowd to who the Go XLR Mini is attractive. It's basically because it's comparable. It's quite comparable. Just that it says Razer instead of Helicon Gaming.
I think the main use case for this is for people who are already in the Razer ecosystem, and there's actually a large number of those people.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you already like and use the Razer Synapse software and you're looking to buy a XLR input preamp,
does make sense. Yeah,
I can see the logic there. But outside of that, it's just, I guess it's another one of those devices.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that we're getting more, because more means competition, which means innovation. Because the Go XLR was kind of really the first thing, and now we're getting, there's the beacon mixer already, so that's good. Competition is good. That said, I do still really like my Go XLR. Really, 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 really would want one with double the audio channels though. Because the one thing that's really, really awesome about the Go XLR, and not sponsored by the way, just pointing that out, is how easy it makes it to set up a 2 PC setup. You need 2 cables, and that's it. And that is basically the easiest way to do a 2PC setup. But I want more audio channels. So Go XLR version 2, please come with like 8 sound channels. That will be amazing.
You mean sliders? Because you have more channels.
Yeah, they have more channels, but they only have 4 sliders. But I want more channels on sliders.
Oh, I get that. I've encountered the same issue actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would love to have my headphones on a slider. I would love to have the music on a slider, the game on a slider, the alerts on a slider,
Yeah, same.
Discord voice call on a slider, and yeah, they're already. I need double the amount of sliders, ideally. But
If you have enough sliders, then you can have a KK slider as well.
See, I was thinking sliders the TV show.
I was trying to think of anything that could like match with sliders on that, but it's good to see more competition in the space.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yep.
Now, what I really want, and this is my brain talking, is I want a fully open source streamer audio mixer where you can buy your own parts and build it with a soldering iron. Let's go. But all of that being said, let's go from super closed source proprietary systems to open broadcasting software, which is now on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any achievements. It's sad.
They need an achievement for starting a stream, for making a scene. Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
This is an open source
amount of
project.
hours.
Sources.
so somebody in this audience go over to their over to the GitHub page for OBS and add some achievements to this thing. Because this is official. This isn't someone who's forked it and put it up out extra. This is just a new distribution platform. That's all it is. It's just a new means of distribution for open broadcasting software.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I've heard, I can't verify this because I just have it as a download and whatnot. It's installed as a standalone app. Apparently it's really difficult to go to previous versions of it on here, but then at the same time I haven't tried this out. I just heard that somebody like in the streamersphere complained about this, but couldn't you just go back into like other versions of the software and just roll back like that? But apparently that's or at least it's more complicated to do it or something.
It would depend on whether they allowed it within the various branches as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That would be something that need to be set up, and of course that seems incredibly strange to actually have as a complaint, given it's only just come out. Chances are the repository doesn't have the older things.
Yeah, definitely not right now. Yeah, absolutely.
And managing older branches is always a bit of a pain as well. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
But if I recall, there's third parties that host the old repositories as well. So that's
absolutely,
probably
I think
where
so.
they're
Yeah.
talking about it being a little bit more difficult, I guess.
Yeah, the question is just how you would access them with the Steam version. But I mean, it's just great. Like it's an easy to grab place for people that don't necessarily know where to get it from, and it's a safe place to grab it from as well, because it's just Steam, and you just go to the Steam store and type in OBS Studio, and it's right there to grab.
Exactly, makes
convenient.
the entry level a lot easier.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not the.
Have any of you actually gotten it from Steam now?
No.
Yeah.
Because I have OBS on my streaming PC anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't have Steam on that PC, so I'll just use it this way.
Yeah, no, I've already got it installed, and I don't know whether or not changing would change all of the settings, whether you'd have to
How
set
it will
everything up
behave,
again.
right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
If you were to get it from Steam now.
But yeah, I mean, it's just cool that people can grab it and it's there, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool that Steam. I mean, I know it's always been also a place for software to like distribute software on it, but it's cool that it's like diversifying that a little bit more as well with like gaming adjacent things. I suppose it's pretty nice,
especially with completely free software as well. Steam's a business that needs to make money, and hosting absolutely free software, I think, is really cool, because again, there's nothing in it for them.
Yep. Good point.
I just
Good
want
point.
to have more ways to remind people that open broadcasting software, OBS, is the best way to stream and not slobs. So
Yes.
the more accessible OBS is, the better.
True.
Didn't they
Absolutely.
remove OBS from that? Isn't it now Streamlabs broadcasting or something?
I have no idea. I thought so, but I don't know.
They got a little bit called out. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely they did.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the change has actually already happened, or if people are still using slobs.
It was
Oh, no, it is-
Lightstream that caused problems, wasn't it?
It was the
That's how it started. Yeah.
yeah, basically the
Lightstream
one.
literally like copy pasted the OBS website. Was, I
No.
think, the main issue
It was a tool that handled rendering for TikTok and the other one, YouTube Shorts. So it was a tool that basically enabled it to render it in the different resolution for those.
Yeah,
And-
they took
yeah.
that.
It was literally word for word. And then when that came out, OBS also said, hey, they did this to us too. So Streamlabs kind of had to speak about both points.
I mean,
of
it's and the thing is, it's not even just that. The whole bit cup that's originally by Muxy. That they just took that too, and then
What happened to Muxy, by the way?
I think that Muxy's still around.
Is it?
I don't think
thought
it's
Muxy
gone.
went away.
No, I don't
I'm in
think
the
so.
process. I'm in the process of shifting everything away from Streamlabs. Alerts
Yep, same.
and all of that as well.
I've been in that process for years.
Fun fact, Muxy actually, just to interject, they actually worked with the Expeditions Rome people on their Twitch extension for the bit interaction and the audience interaction, and it was a really good extension,
Yes, it
really
was.
good. Made the game so engaging for chat. Ugh, I know I keep talking about it, but I basically already decided in January, and I've talked about this on this podcast so many times, how hard it is for me, but I basically decided in January of 2022 what my game of the year 2022 is. That game was that good. But anyway, it's OBS.
I just want to say thank you to you for keeping that topic going, because I just had to deal with a cat puking in the background. So I had to jump up and run into the other room and clean up some vomit. So
Yeah, I
he's
have
a good
cat
cat.
too.
He's just very old.
Look, sometimes you got to have a tactical vom in the corner.
Tactical stomach emptying. But on the topic of something that has nothing to do with emptying one's stomach onto the floor of my apartment, CD Projekt Red seems to be ditching the Red engine, which has been their proprietary engine that they've used for forever, which Cyberpunk runs in, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt runs in, Witcher 2 and Witcher 1 are all powered by. So they've signed a deal with Epic and are moving to Unreal. So whatever they do next is going to be on Unreal. Now, they have confirmed and clarified that this does not mean that their next main project, which is going to be a Witcher thing, is going to be exclusive to Epic, because the second you say Unreal, everybody goes, oh no! You're going to be exclusive to Epic. But no.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were going to make a project that was exclusive to something,
It would be GOG.
it would be good old games, which would be financial suicide for them.
Yes.
So, because GOG has never had that level of market share. So it's not going to be exclusive, but they are partnering to use Unreal technology, and they have confirmed that their new logo is a cat. It's a lynx.
It's a Lynx, yeah.
So Witcher 3 cat headphones edition. Let's go.
There's some very fascinating fan theories actually about it that already exist before this image even appeared, of some characters, because there's apparently some references and whatnot, and characters maybe potentially moving on and then resurrecting the School of the Cats as a School of the Lynx and that sort of stuff. But Yeah, I mean, being on topic with this and not that deep diving into like Witcher lore, I am honestly not surprised after Cyberpunk and all of the issues the engine had. And this is the engine that brought to you like characters falling through the floor, cars just randomly exploding, driving around wherever exploding,
Tree texture on everything.
Yeah, weird texture bugs, rendering bugs, like characters completely glitching out, getting turned inside out. Also, remember Roach on the roof? Who remembers that from Witcher 3 and like all of that sort of stuff? So I am in favor of them moving away from like the engine development side of things and just focusing on like actually delivering a good game this time around. And like, because now they have an engine where if there are an issue, they can be like, yo, here, how can we, like, we need help to fix this in like Unreal. And you know, all the Unreal people, they're like, you know, like stuff is like that, and they have like really competent people working on the engine. Because to be fair, Unreal 5 looks, good.
Unreal
right?
5 is a real good engine, and it's made by people in a mall.
Yeah. I mean,
see, this is the thing for me, though. This is the thing for me. It seems to me as though there's a lot of diversity within engines that is being removed as time goes on. In the past year, we've had quite some big names announce that they're shifting from their custom engine to Unreal or Unity. And you know, I kind of wonder if the homogeny of engines will wind up stifling development and a little bit from that sense. You know, whether or not people will start comparing things too much.
I think it depends on how people handle engines, because some people can do magical. Obviously, yeah, you get all of the Unity asset flips, right? That's the one like end of this. Like they just buy, they have the engine that they get, they buy the assets from the store, slap them together, and then you get an asset flip. That's absolutely terrible. But there are some people
every
who
major engine with an asset store is
like that, exactly. Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah. But there are some people that can also at the same time just create absolute magic with those engines. And if those people can then like, I don't know, I totally get what you mean, but at the same time, I think it's like, it seems like it would be a really awesome thing if, those people, instead of having to like work on like cracking a custom engine to get something, to just like force feeding it into the custom engine, if they can just utilize this engine that's already tried and tested, where there's precedents, where they can look at like, you know, things that are available to like handle their problem. I don't know, like I want to say this is going to be a good thing. Definitely, at least for this Witcher game, I think.
In a world where Tarkov and Hearthstone both run in Unity, I don't know if that's necessarily the same level of concern. I mean, like, yes, there are some engines out there that have a lot of restrictions, and I think like Game Maker is one of those. But when it comes to like the big guns these days, I mean, nothing runs well on Frostbite, so EA Games is definitely in a better place to switch off of Frostbite. And obviously, like, Cyberpunk, I think, got away from CD Projekt in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know, if you have a dong slider, give your dongs physics so they don't stick through clothing, please. Just stuff like that. It's just... To a degree, I think this is a positive change for them. I would like to see more engines be in development. I would like to see more open source engines, for one thing. I would like to see new options for indie devs that isn't just going with Unreal or Unity or Game Maker or Godot. But
yeah, I think that's the thing that I've been noticing too. It's like,
games are expensive, and they're too expensive to develop your own big expensive engine for if you're just one studio.
Yeah.
Well, it's also that a lot of people tend to misconstrue what the engines do and what they're for. You know, in my long and storied past, I've worked on the MMO Worm Online, which runs its own custom engine, because back in 2003, there wasn't really much choice. And we used to get so many requests of people saying, oh, you should, you know, port the game to Unity or Unreal. And it's like, you know, that would do nothing, right? You know, it just doesn't make sense. And in order to develop a game completely within Unity or swapping engines, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to look like those Unity games that come out that everyone thinks are amazing. And so, yeah, that's where I kind of look at that and think, well, perhaps that somewhere along the line there should be, you know, more accessible engines, but also more understanding from people what the engines mean as well.
I mean, an engine is basically just your framework, and then what you do with that engine, that's on you, right?
Exactly. You know, you can have a really crappy looking game on any engine.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like, we've all seen the assets and the asset flips, like, and you know, certain assets that just pop up everywhere. You know, that you can, that you can just pick them out, and that's fine. But like, it really, yeah.
Two massive problems with this industry right now: asset flips and massive studios that refuse to put out new games. Rockstar Games has announced GTA Plus, which is a $6 a month subscription for Grand Theft Auto 5 online. Because apparently they just don't want to, you know, make Grand Theft Auto 6 ever.
God.
Do we have anything to say about this, or is this just like a...
I said this earlier offline, but I think it actually bears repeating. Because at this point, GTA 5 is 9 years old, right? It's almost 10 years. And
so the highest earning piece of media in existence.
Yeah, and it reminds me just so much of Skyrim, because just, I don't know, last month, GTA 5 came out with, like, you know, a version for the new console. So, are there more editions of Skyrim, or are there more editions of GTA 5 nowadays?
I don't like Skyrim, but Skyrim doesn't have boatloads of microtransactions, literal casinos, and also doesn't have
cheaters, hackers, multiplayer.
But GTA also does not have DLC horse armor.
And well, I don't think does GTA 5 have horses?
No, that's Red Dead Redemption.
Exactly. Also, Grand Theft Auto 5 does not have Thomas the Tank Engine dragons. So
Yeah.
I think Skyrim's probably
it's
the
probably
better
got
cockroach.
something Thomas the Tank Engine though.
Probably, yeah.
Let's not go
They
too
have the
far.
officially licensed Thomas the Tank Engine.
It's just so crazy. I think for me, this is like totally just a random tangent that just popped into my head. GTA
That's this
5
podcast.
was one of those very first big games of which, like, the launch I watched on Twitch. Like, it was one of those big games that, like, suddenly everybody played. And it's, like, the first of those very big games that I, like, actively remember as my career as, like, a Twitch user. And that's mental. That was almost 10 years ago now.
You see, you say that. The first big game I remember watching a lot in live streams was Borderlands 2009. I watched Gassy Mexican and Cnanners playing that on Ustream, I think.
Oh, I remember Ustream, yeah.
But kind of a null point there. I feel like it's worth mentioning just because it popped up right when we were writing down notes, and also, what the heck, Rockstar? Just go make Grand Theft Auto 6 already, please.
Yeah, just leave it. And maybe also, and I think those people would really appreciate it, do a little bit for Red Dead 2 online instead.
I'm beginning to think
maybe
that one of the R's in George R.R. Martin is Rockstar.
I mean, he acts like one if you ever look at his Instagram. But
yeah, sure. But, like, you know, never actually getting around to continuing a series is... You know, that's what it is. It's George Rockstar Red Dead Martin.
But, you know, George R.R. Martin had his tendrils in Elden Ring, which is developed by From Software, who developed a game called Bloodborne, which is never going to get a PC port. So fans went and made a PS1 port, and the creator of that fan game, that's the first couple levels first area, I think, of Bloodborne, has announced probably my favorite fan creation I've ever seen, which is a Bloodborne cart. So I very much recommend going and watching that trailer because the music slaps and that trailer hits real hard. There will be a link to the Reddit thread where I saw that in the description of this podcast.
I've not seen the trailer, but I did see the image, and it's pulled straight from Akira.
It's great, isn't it?
It's so weird to me to see how often there was an article I read a while ago about how Akira, I think it was late 80s or early 90s anime movie, so many games and shows have used that shot of him walking up to the bike, and it's just so funny to see it again in something so completely different. That's got, like, you know, it's not even like 6 degrees of separation to Akira. It's literally just completely different.
Mm-hmm. It's Cthulhu Nightmare Land instead of, like, technological Nightmare Land, right?
Exactly.
What's really the difference?
Yeah,
one's just money and the other is cosmic horror.
The fun thing with Bloodborne card is that this actually started as like their April Fool's joke from last year. And then everybody was like, yes, and now it's actually happening.
I can't wait to play this. This is going to be the first From Software adjacent thing I've played in a very long time.
Well, the question is From Software going to shut it down?
Well, why?
No, because it's going to... they haven't done it with the other one, first of all. And it's not like this is going to be a paid thing, right? If
anybody shuts this down, it'll be Sony, not FromSoft.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Also, on that note, just real quick, I know this is like super tangent, and like we talked about which games we're playing like an hour ago, but Elden Ring is really good. Let me just say that real quick, like on a side note.
And with that being said, if you want to get more episodes of this podcast, you can find that at halcyonfrequency.com. And normally we have a segment where we answer some questions from our Discord, which can be found over on halcyonfrequency.com. If you just scroll down to the bottom, there's a link to the Discord. Just agree to the rules and don't say any bad words. And then you're in, and there's a room where you can talk about podcast topics, and there's a room where you can ask us questions. But because this is kind of a celebration episode, because we have a new member on the team now, who's Arch, who's been here the whole time, we're going to just kind of leave that one until next week. So if you have any questions, jump into that room and ask us some questions, and we'll answer them on next week's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes of the podcast, you can do that on the Halcyon Frequency website under the podcast tab. You can go listen to the whole backlog there. Of course, we're also available on podcast platforms of your choice. And if we're not available somewhere, please tell me, and I will make the podcast show up there. Although nobody's actually told me to make the podcast show up everywhere. So I'm assuming that everybody just listens to podcasts on Spotify now. Anyway, we're there too.
No, I do.
So, Spotify, Google, Apple, they're usually the big
Spotify,
ones.
Google, Apple, Stitcher, Overcast, Podbean, there's a lot of them. We're on like 40 different podcast platforms at this point, so Also, if you really want to help us out and you happen to own an Apple device, leave us a review. Please. We need those. They're hard to get. It's like pulling teeth. And if you listen somewhere else that isn't iTunes and you want to help us out, leave us a review there if they allow you, or just follow us on Spotify. So let's just start at the top here and say, Kiri, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Patreon as 2DKiri. And that'd be cool. See you there.
Arch, where can people find you?
Usually hanging around the back of a coffee shop. Twitch as ArchPlaysStuff, and yeah, I think Twitter is ArchPlaysStuff. I haven't checked lately.
And FG, where can people find you and your stuff?
Yeah, hi, I'm FG. You can find me everywhere as FGsquared. Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, except over on Twitter, there's a pesky underscore between the FG and the squared. And that's me.
And I'm blind and I'm waiting for Elden Ring cart. And or maybe I'm waiting to race around the Elden Ring in Bloodborne cart. I doubt they'll let us do that. Anyway, I like kart racers, okay? I'm blind, and you can find me on twitch.tv/BLINDIRL. You can find me on YouTube under the same handle, and Patreon under the same handle, and Twitter under the same handle. And I've actually been tweeting again, which is, again, still out of character for me, so we'll see if that continues. And once again, if you want to find more episodes of this podcast, HalcyonFrequency.com. I think this is where we all just say goodbye. Until this, it's either that or this cat's going to try and eat me. So thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. It goes live every Sunday. So if you just listen to this one, we'll see you next week.
Next week, indeed.
Bye.
Until then, bye.
Bye-bye.
He's literally eating my hand right now. Ow.